JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, October 30, 327. Really quick rant. I don't have all my charts here. This morning I had issue with the watch list. Apologize for that. But talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from their S&P right at the lows here. Almost down 1%. SPY just hit 680. It's been like a slow melt pretty much all day, and then just kind of like picked up at 2 o'clock. We're around 684. And yeah, I mean, despite the move today on the SPY, you look, and more than half my watch list is solidly in the green. So, uh, whether it's gonna be just consolidation before the next like higher, is this the start of a pull from, you know, well, the big rally we've had since April? We'll find out shortly. Things I've been looking at, and one of the things I talked about is the amount of stock trading over their 50-day moving average going down, and those are up today. So, uh, and then you look also this morning, it's like even with the weakness, the VIX, it's very muted, right? It's like I think it's up 1% right now. It was down for most of the day until just a second ago. So, does that seem like fear to me? Probably not. Just so after the close today, we get Apple and Amazon. Maybe will that kickstart some things? Will that maybe put a floor in? Um, and then outside of that, and we head into the weekend, and we have more earnings next week. So, and all positive headlines, you would think this week with the Fed cutting rates. You have the truce, I guess you would call it, between the U.S. and China. Uh, yeah. So just watching support resistance here on the SPY. I keep bringing up these words, the great circle jerk and then the great unwind, right? So, at some point, all this stuff comes to an end, but you take a look at the AI names or the CapEx spend names, and, I got Sandus Lottos today, Seagate, which was up a heck of a lot more. I mean, it's up at 274, still up 1% today. And then, some of these other names that, I don't know, well, we'll have to see how things play out here. I'm trying to look for some hedge plays, but those are the names I'd be getting hedges on, and they're actually performing well here today. So, anyways, all right. So that's kind of the overall market. I just want to go quick in some names so I can rumble them down. But first, earnings after the close. So we have Reddit and Roku. So first, I'll just talk quick about Reddit. For the third time this week, went to get those spec lottos in the hopes of, or the plan was to get some premium build, lock some in, cover cost, ride the rest into earnings. And Reddit started to move in the right direction again, and then it just faded. So once it started hitting that 200 threshold, didn't the plan was to lock some in. So once it looked like I wasn't gonna be able to get some premium build, I closed them out. And I'm starting to look. I think 260 right now it's at 195. So you're talking a 15% move for options expiring tomorrow. It's and then you look at the 270 strikes. They still have somewhat of some premium there. I mean, they're down 57% today, but they're 68 cents by 84 cents. Is that playable risk reward for tomorrow? I mean, if it goes to 285, yeah, obviously 1500% or so gains. I mean, if it goes to 250, those are going to have some premiums. So then the thought is maybe I go into next week's, and the 300 strikes for next week are a dollar. So, or 89 by $1.18. Probably can get filled for a dollar if I tried to do some fiddling around on the bid and ask. So I'll just sit on my hands. No sense just to try to force a trade. I think in like it had last quarter, I think it's a surprise beat and raise monster quarter. But I think there was a lot of pent up concern last quarter, and then the surprise caused that the big squeeze. I think it was up. Did I post the stats? Last quarter ran up 15%. Why don't I have this up here? No, don't have it here. Sorry about that, folks. So let's see. I think it was 14% last quarter. Yeah, so last quarter actually was up 17% last quarter. So it closed the day before at 160, opened at 182, and rallied all the way up to 196, and then pulled back, closed at 188. So is there a same kind of setup that might have a similar move? Tough one. So I'll probably just sit on my hands on that one. Tried to trade it, market didn't let me do it. So I'm okay sitting overnight on that one. And not only that, maybe I'll get an opportunity tomorrow to play the Reddit. So that's Reddit. And then Roku, right? I haven't traded this one in a month and a half since its last earnings. You know the story, or at least if you've listened to my rants over the years on Reddit. Roku, I think it's one of those names that's front and center in regards to content consumption, right? It's the only third party platform. I used to call it the one platform to rule them all when you go to when consuming content on your TV or streaming device or what have you. So the thing with Roku, I don't know if some reason was rallying this morning. You have this big spat now, YouTube TV and ESPN Disney. To me, again, just adds more credibility to a third party platform, right? Because when you have platforms like the YouTube TV, now you have these wars where if you want to be on YouTube TV service, you're not going to be able to get to Disney. And I mean, there's other ways to view it. So it's not like you can't, back in the day when you just had the cable box or what have you, would be forced. If ABC was done, you would have to get the antenna to watch it, right? So, uh, anyway, so I was looking for decent strikes play for risk reward at the start of the week. Couldn't find it. Was actually flat, and then finally started breaking out this morning. So, do I want to get the weeklies? So I went and got the monthly strikes, and within an hour or so, they were up 50%. They're actually the premiums keep coming in. So, and actually, if you look at the weekly strikes, yeah, they're up nice as well. So, before I'm like, do I close them out to cover costs? They're up 50%. I'll probably just hold them because it's like one of these quarters, and you take a look at the Roku's move over the last 8 quarters. Let's see if I have it up here. Last quarter was down 15%. Quarter before that, down 16%. The quarter before that, up 14. The quarter before that, down 17. So a lot of large moves, so large swings. You take a look, a 10% move is going to put it at 120. I keep talking about it too when I talked about Roku over the last year or so. I mean, it's one of those names. And back when I used to trade it right after its IPO, everybody thought it was just a hardware company, and they were, right, because they used to have the big selling point for them was the Roku stick. You shove it in your TV, and then you have access to all the streaming services and what have you. Now it's more than that, right? It's an app. They have their own channel and all these other things, but it's also the part of the monetizing, right? And the platform used to be the low margin, right? They just try and get the stick in your home or their get you to use the platform and then monetize it through the advertising and the add-ons and all that fun stuff. Now they're to the point where they're monetizing it and they're becoming profitable. And it's almost like when Netflix back in the day didn't have any profits because they were spending so much money on trying to spending money to get the sign-ups, the subscription ads, and then to get the content and the licensing deals and all that fun stuff. All that stuff costs money to the point, the tipping point. And the tipping point on Roku is when their platform monetization revenue passed their actual platform revenue. And that happened a long time ago, but at some point it's a cash cow. But waiting for the beat and raise quarter that's going to send it to the moon. Hopefully this is it. Anyways, that's the thought process there on Roku. And then some other names here. VKTX, Obesity Week next week, November 4th to November 7th. It seems like all these GLP-1 names run up into the event. It did it last year, did it the year before. Not only that, you had that article, that piece this morning, Wall Street Journal, an upbid for Pfizer on this other GLP-1 name. So I think all that together, you sets the stage for some of these names to have some continuation, especially into next week. VKTX, I said I wasn't going to trade it past this phase 2 data back in the summer. And now you start looking at the chart, filling the gap. I just think it has a great setup here. Not only that, inexpensive calls. Even if it gets into the low 40s, those should be a double next week. So got those strikes. And then Flower, right? So 1-800-Flowers. I did those lottos last week was it last week or the week before? On the whole sympathy move on the meme craze with Open and so that went on a tear, 36% short interest, then came back down to earth. And funny enough, no news, no catalyst was actually like $1 below where the squeeze started. So to me, it's like, did they create more sellers than buyers? It just doesn't make sense. So then this morning they reported earnings was kind of like nothing crazy, but to me, it's like the turnaround. It's a turnaround story. So it trades like 2/10 to its revenues. I think a $250 million market cap. They do like $1.4 billion in revenues. They have minuscule one. They have debt, but the debt's been being paid down. So it's not a bankruptcy story either. So for me to have this 36% short interest, unless you're playing it for zero, which I don't think it's a zero, I think there's an opportunity for a squeeze to the upside. So I got the November strikes. It was breaking $4. I went and got the December calls. I'll continue to look for opportunities to play that one for upside. And then Adobe, right? So Adobe's one of the plays I have puts on. Got those yesterday. Sure enough, the market's fading and Adobe's actually in the green. I don't know if it was ServiceNow earnings or what the case was. But then this afternoon, one of its competing brands said they're going to offer their service for free. I forget what the name of that company is. But then you look at, Adobe, it was like an air pocket. It was trading at 342, and then all of a sudden it's 333 in a flash. My 310 puts were up over 100%. The plan isn't to close them out, but if I had an order in, I would have hoped they would got filled. I'll still hold these into next week, and then I talked about it. It did get to 333. If it breaks 330, I might look for some other strikes to play for downside. And that's it. Lots of names reporting earnings after the close, so lots of fireworks. Back if I was feeling a little confident in some of these names, I might dabble on some lottos. You look, there's 151 companies reporting, and let's see here. Come on, just going really slow. You have Cloudflare, you have Rocket, you have Western Digital. So Western Digital might help SanDisk here. After close, you got Coinbase, obviously Reddit, Twilio, First Solar. You got Team, Zillow's reporting, Dexicom, GoDaddy, Gilead. The name goes on. It goes on and on. So it's gonna be a lot of fireworks after the close. Anyway, let's have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.